Hey, what's going on, everybody? I figured I'd fire it up. Bobby will be here probably shortly. Um, I presume most people did well in the early slate if they followed what we were doing. I played a whole bunch of Boston and like ninth in the walk off, fourth in the single entry. It's kind of hard to just to just really take the whole thing down on a 3 game slate. There were just a lot of people, a lot of entries. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, nobody had more than one entry in the single entry, I suppose. But yeah, you can't ask for more than 18 runs or whatever the hell Boston had. So that worked out pretty nicely. And we are going to talk about this evening's slate. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into it, TJ. But so say, I think that. Well, let's talk about like who looks good and then like who I'm playing, right? So if you were just going by my sheets and projections and stuff like that, the top pitcher would be Merrill Kelly, but it's not as if he has that big of a projection. It doesn't look like he's that great. So that's the thing. I mean, at 50% ownership, it's probably something I'm inclined to fade. And then you have this Pablo Lopez, who's like 40% ownership. He don't look that great either, if you want to know the truth. And I mean, if I'm going to keep it real, Justin Steele at 29% ownership, he doesn't look that good. So this is one of those slates where I'm just inclined to just punt this thing and play Schultens and play, hey, what's going on? And Waldachek and the nonsense. That's kind of what I'm doing. So I was just kind of summing up. I don't know if you're listening, Bobby, but I was just saying that this slate, you have the top owned pitchers, the higher priced guys like Kelly and Lopez and even Steele for that matter. Like none of them look that great. I mean, I'm inclined to just punt it, and that's what I'm doing. In my DraftKings, by the way, we recapped it. I did pretty well in the early slate. It's hard to take the whole thing down with 3 game slate. Everybody's got every combination,
Yeah.
But I got ninth in the walk off. I got like fourth in the single.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. I mean, when you play Boston and they score 18 runs, you got to do something, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm playing like 2/3 of my lineup should have Schultens tonight. 30% are going to have Waldachuk, and I'm going to have like 25% Heaney. I'm going to be well under. I mean, I have like literally like 3 lineups of like 40 or 45 with Merrill Kelly. I don't really want to play him at all. Andrew Heaney, I have him, and then Justin Steele is my preferred of the spends. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing Schultens with Waldachek, and Schultens with Steele and Waldachek with Steele, and then some Heaney also. And if Lopez beats me, great. And if Merrill Kelly beats me, great. And more to the point, I'm going to be playing the. People are hinting at this. Everybody doesn't seem like such an off the beaten path play anymore. But yeah, I am going to play the Reds. I alluded to that earlier, and it just makes too much sense. And they're actually my highest owned stack of them all. So I actually have Cincinnati, followed by, of all things, Toronto. So
yeah, that was my one.
So those are my top 2 on DraftKings, and I'm not playing on FanDuel. What are you up to?
Yeah, so those were the ones that I was looking at too. So I like the. I mean, look, I still like the White Sox and the A's, but I am going to play some Toronto, and I'm going to play some Minnesota, where I don't play Heaney.
Yeah,
those are my main ones, and I am playing Heaney and Schultens or Waldachuk.
Yep.
And I am playing some Lopez / Steele and some Steele / Kelly, but mostly a little bit higher on Lopez than I am Kelly.
How are you dealing with the weather?
So I'm a little worried about it, but I don't know really what else I can do with the information we have right now. You know what I mean? I just don't know what else to what am I supposed to, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you could not play Steel if you don't want. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there's nasty weather in Oakland as well. I'm sorry, in Chicago, the White Sox as well. I can't really fade 2 full games out of 5. I don't know.
I'm looking. I'm just doing raw stuff. I just see like yellow, orange, Chicago Pit as opposed to yellow for the other one, so I don't worry about the yellow too much.
Yeah, but I mean, yesterday it was a green.
Yeah, I get it. It took 2 days to finish it.
Yeah. So that was maybe threw me off a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I'm gonna probably have to listen to his thing a little later.
Yep.
I don't really know exactly what to do with it right now.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like I have my lineups, and if in fact it's looking a little grim, I mean, it's an easy, you know, it's an easy fix. You know, you could move Steele to some of the higher price guys if you wanted to.
Yeah,
but I think if that happens, if that game really looks to be grim, I think that's what a lot of people are going to do. They'll get a little lazy and say, "Oh, screw this! I'll just like go to Lopez and Kelly and just make a couple of changes." Maybe if it looks like Steele's going to be out, just play more of like the cheapo combo or something. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing. Yeah, but like you said, it is going to require some decision making as we approach lock. That's for sure. Yeah. But that's kind of what it is.
Yep. Were there any questions or thoughts or things in chat? What's up, guys? Clay's saying, what about Arizona? I think Arizona is actually a very good stack. I don't have them as a full stack, but I do have pieces of them basically everywhere. Do you have any Arizona shoots?
Very little. And that's the one that, I always like to think that there's one stack and one pitcher or whatever that I'm like kind of nervous about not having a lot of. And for me, it's not, it's going to be Kelly and Arizona. That's what it is. I mean, I just don't have it. That's it. You can't play everybody.
Yep.
And especially on a 5-game slate when you're competing against people that are playing like all these different combinations, I mean, you have to take a shot. You know what I mean? You can't just say, "Ooh, maybe I'll get a little more. Maybe I'll get like 14%. Maybe I'll get like 22% Merrill Kelly or something like that." Or
right.
You know what I mean? Just let this be the game where he scores 12 instead of 25, and I'll be just fine.
I hear you. And
see how that goes.
where do you have him ownership wise on your projections?
What's that?
What do you have him ownership wise on your projections?
Merrill Kelly?
Yeah.
50%?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I think that's why I'm going to stick with the Lopez thing.
Yeah.
Lopez, it should have some pretty significantly lower.
Lower, but I mean, not low. I have him at 40.
Really? It's still that high?
That's what I mean, whatever. I mean,
I just didn't. The problem is, when I built with the cheap guys, I didn't need to spend up for bats unless I was just going out of my way to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I felt a little bit like, what am I doing here exactly?
Okay, so I'll put it to you another way. So if I'm wrong about Kelly and Lopez at 50 and 40, and then Steele at 30, then where am I also wrong? You know what I mean? So I do have Schulten's projected really low own. I mean, I have him at only 13%. It's got to be higher than that. He's just too cheap.
Yeah.
And then I have Waldichuk at only 10. I mean, he's got to be more owned than that as well. So I think that if Waldichuk and Schulten's, you bump those guys up, I think Heaney at 17 to 20 is probably about where he's going to be. Or is he going to be higher?
I think he might be a little bit higher.
Maybe he's a little higher. Maybe you're right. Maybe Kelly and Lopez will be a little lower owned because you know what? It wasn't very difficult. Not that our Discord channel represents like the public, so to speak, in like a negative way. But like whenever I just even look out of the corner of my eyes in my Discord, everybody's like, Reg, you want Reg? I mean, it seems like such the obvious kind of hipster play. You know what I mean? That maybe Kelly's just really not even going to be 50% owned. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's going to be like 35 or something, Yeah.
I still think he's going to end up owned.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like close to 50, I would bet, but yeah. I don't know that to say that the weather's not a factor for the Cubs. It's just it does worry me a little bit. But as of right now, I'm probably a little bit jaded because of the game last night. So I probably usually wouldn't be maybe as worried as I am tonight.
Right.
Boy, how about Scheffler just kind of blowing up there for a minute?
Sure did.
It's anybody's game.
It sure is.
There's no way to even feel good or bad about lineups. I don't think anybody's got a shot. All right. Any other questions or thoughts? Obviously, a small slate, just 5 games. Name of the game should be to get a little bit different. I basically decided no 5-man stacks today. It doesn't feel like a slate where I necessarily needed to. I like the idea of getting to like I didn't want to stack against Kelly, but I have a red or 2 in a good portion of my lineups. I do have some White Sox Oakland game-ish stacks, like a 4-3-1 that has the red. It's such good hitting weather in Chicago in that game. It was hard for me just to not like play the pieces. But my main stacks ended up as the Cubs, Blue Jays, and Twins.
Yeah, totally reasonable.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, guys?
No.
We just sit here.
I don't think so. I'm not playing FanDuel, so I really don't have much to say about that.
Yeah.
As far as just like one-offs or whatever it is, just guys that are standing out. I mean, like Lawrence Butler, 2,300. He looked good earlier. Not as. Wait, is he still the top kind of value on there? Actually, not as much. It's so funny. What I am getting as far as like one-offs is, listen, I know he hasn't done anything, but I mean, Tim Anderson is 3,100. I also see him at 25% ownership.
Yeah, I know.
The Ryan Noda at 3K, 20%, same thing. You got the Luplow, he's 2,600.
Luplow, the other kid for the A's is 2,300, but he's batting further down. Nick Martini is 2,200. Those are the guys who are showing up for me. I'm building one FanDuel lineup because I guess I have a free entry tonight, so I guess I kind of have to.
Oh, by the way, you'd be proud of me. I went to. I heard you the first time somebody said it, and then I forgot. Then I went back and I claimed the chess thing, the chess boards or something. Chess rewards.
What? Oh, you did. Oh, good. Okay, cool.
I just got I got some crowns, I think.
Yeah, that's usually what it is.
All right, but was it every Wednesday, right?
Yeah, but you can look at it for the next week. You just got to make sure to open it before the next week's one comes.
So they don't tell you like to claim it. You have to remember to go claim it.
Yeah, well, they'll send you like little notifications. You must have your notifications off or something.
I guess so.
I get them a lot.
Was Buddy Kennedy at 2,100 for Arizona? That's cheap. He's not terrible either.
Yeah. Pingalore is asking you for a weird lineup.
Yeah, but what's weird is not weird anymore. You know, like
Reds.
You know what I mean? Toronto and Baltimore. That's not too offbeat, right? I mean, it's a small slate, so
yeah.
I guess I'm just looking through my actual lineups, and I'm looking to see if there's anything weird. And I mean, if you consider the Reds weird, sure. But you know what is kind of interesting is that I'm getting a lot of Baltimore with Toronto together, kind of like a game stack. Texas, who was talking about Texas in the Discord? Yeah, I mean, Texas certainly makes sense. But let me just see if there's anything weird. Nothing really, David. I mean, just the Reds. And what's cool about the Reds is, you know, you can delude yourself into thinking you're winning like all the way to the end because it's the last game.
Yeah, and I actually don't think the Reds are going to be. I just can't picture them really being that owned as a stack. They're also expensive.
Yeah, but you know what I like? I like that Juan Encarnacion guy, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Encarnacion Strand.
Yeah. And Friedel's leading off at pretty reasonable, 4,600.
It feels reasonable because the way the rest of their team is priced. That's for sure.
I guess Marte, 2,800. He's not that great though, but whatever. He can make a stack go at least.
Which Marte?
The younger kid, the Noel V Marte.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to win the GPP for you, but it'll turn the lineup, help turn the lineup over, I guess.
I was like, what did I miss if Ketel Marte is 2,800?
And the Will Benson. I mean, like these guys can do something. I mean, it's a small slate. Anything's possible. Yeah. A's Toronto. Is that different? Is that a weird one? Okay, so this is one. So Berrios with Waldichuk and a Toronto A's, like a full, like that's like a full game stack.
I like the Toronto thing.
Are you even allowed to do that?
Yeah.
On FanDuel, you can't, right?
Oh, well, as long as you can if you don't use the pitcher. You just have to use 3 different games.
On DraftKings, I just have like literally just Toronto's and A's in the lineup.
But who's pitching?
Berrios and Waldichuk.
On FanDuel?
No, DraftKings.
Oh, I'm confused. Yeah, you can do that.
You can do it on DraftKings, but not on FanDuel.
No, you can do it on FanDuel as long as you don't have to play. You just have to have 2 different games.
Okay.
You can't have every.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mike Carr says, thanks, Mike, for this. Roth won't be surprised at the late start, and Baltimore will be fine. Chicago, chance of a delay, but not particularly high.
Excellent.
And yeah, Pinkler saying Carroll batting 7th is strange. It's actually not strange. They bat him 6th. They bat him 9th early in the year when he was playing against lefties, and they sat him out against lefties for a little bit. But they want to keep him in the lineup. It's pretty common that they keep him though in the bottom of the order when he's against the lefties. They've done it a couple times where they let him go.
I'll tell you what got me in the GPPs today, which I could have won, is maybe I shouldn't have even played him, but nobody ended up playing the Ramirez. He was like 8%.
And what are you talking about?
In the long relief guy today?
Oh, I didn't even.
The guy from Tampa. I had like 50% of him, and I just thought he was going to be really popular. But he was like literally 9% owned, and they brought him in like they gave him a gift. He was like He was 2-0. They brought him in with like 2 outs in the fourth. You know what I mean? The fourth, like gifting him a win, pretty much. And he just basically gave up 3 runs, like it was nothing. And they ended up leaving him in for like 3 or 4 innings. He ended up getting back to even. He started like -6 after like 2 batters or something. That would have been instead of so those lineups instead of Lambert, that was what cost me, like, you know, really competing for the win. But listen, you can't have everything.
Yeah. But man, that's nice though. It's a nice day.
Yeah. they totally ran out of Astros totally ran out of pitchers. They had some dude throwing at 50 miles an hour in the.
Oh really?
Yeah. All right. I guess I'm going to go unless there are other questions.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of questions left in there, guys. I'll be in the premium Discord if anything does come up.
Okay.
But good luck tonight. Good luck, Sheets, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. See you.